Symbols of Death. Symbols of Death brought to Hawiku by Estebanico. Alright, this is part 8. Part 7, was a nice quick snippet. Get that part 7. So we put a lot real fast in that part 7. And, let go. Part 8, Chronicle of Acapulco. Symbols of Death. What is the symbol of death that Esteban brought to Acapulco? This is the memorialized, what are we calling it? The Cacuana, Southwest. We're talking about the Southwest people. Now, we just kind of got that up because we was digging, in this great link. Again, love to the family, love to the family. And let's get it from right here. I think we got cut off right around this area. So, though they took Esteban's life, the Zunis memorialized him in a black ogre Kashina named Cacuana. So the Zunis from Cibola, Estebanico, Barako, the Zunis from Cibola, Hawiku. We're just talking Hawiku. And when we talk Hawiku, we talk New Mexico. And we talk Zuni Cibola in New Mexico. Cibola, we already know. We already got that. That the Cibola is Kalalus, and Kalalus is the promised land. And the promised land is in the land of America. And it's been fought for well before and during 700s AD by the Rus and the Israelite kings of the seven cities of gold. Let's continue. So this Cacuana is a memorialized black okra Kashina named Cacuana. So even though, these indigenous, these, Israelites that are in the promised land, in Kalalus, in Hawiku, took Esteban's life for bringing them what? Esteban, a North African slave. Alright, first non-native to visit this Hawiku, and here it is southwest, the Four Corners. He was killed when he dumbassly alarmed Zuni tribesmen, the Israelite tribes, with decorations that symbolize death. We're just talking about the 7 cities of gold and Cibola. And what decorations of death are we referring to here? This is how they memorialized him. So I'm sure this represents death, since they took his life. I'm sure this represents death, since they took his life. So what's this? Cacuana, 1529. All right, Spanish explorer Alvar Nora Cabeza de Baca and 3 companions survived a shipwreck at the mouth of what is now known as the Mississippi River. Esteban, a black Moorish slave. You're about to see Esteban, child of sun. He ain't gonna look black, right? But he is a black Moorish slave. Or a Moor from Amorocco. Was among the survivors. He kept surviving for a while, For 7 years, the 4 Spaniards wandered across the continent, living among the native people. The native people are descendants of this Americans, Theodorus, Kalalus, 775. Davidic princes, warrior Davidic princes, reconquered the American empire of Kalalus. So these are not just native, primitive people. These are descendants of the kings of Israel. And when he walked up and tried to smob up in Hawiku, Kalalus, Kalalus, meaning promised land. When he tried to roll up like that as a non-native to it. This black Moorish slave, he was put to death for bringing them what? He was the first non-native to visit Hawiku. He was killed when he dumbassly alarmed them with decorations that symbolized death. He brought them death, this child of the sun, this thought frequency, this Moroccan brought them death and was killed for it. Now they're saying because he died, fraught with misunderstandings, that encounter led to Esteban's untimely demise in 1539 and prefigured or set up or shaped the violence that would characterize the Spanish conquest and subsequent colonization of the region. So it amped up the violence by killing this Moor when he rode up on a land that he wasn't native to. They just wanted that excuse. Oh, you took our Moor. He was one of many, right? He was one of many, and that's in the 1500s when they been fighting for this land. Oh, we'll get into this we'll get into this letter. Mendoza plays. So he tried to come up in this land. For 7 years, the 4 Spaniards wandered across the continent, living among the native people. Man, again, this land had been the promised land. These are the indigenous Hebrews here. This is why Columbus brought a Hebrew interpreter to meet with this Grand Khan Yan, this Prester John, this Israelite king already here. These priest kings that were what? Davidic princes, Prince King David, line, Lebna, Dangle, DeWeets. Kalalus, weapons of death. This Moorish slave was among the survivors for 7 years as 4 Spaniards wandered to the continent, living among the native people. In 1536, they straggled into the Spanish settlement of Culiacan in northern New Spain. Now we're talking Mexico. We're talking Four Corners. Cabeza de Baco and his men related their adventures to the Viceroy in Mexico City. Who's that? Mendoza? During their wanderings, they had heard of Indians who traded in turquoise and lived several leagues to the north in large houses. The following year, eager for gold and converts to Catholicism, Viceroy Antonio de Mendoza. We're just talking Mendoza, the letter from Coronado, 1540. See how all this plays? Separate documents, all lining up, all praise Hawa. And we're just talking about Hawa, Hawiku, Cibola, Kalalus, Promised Land, Hawa. Oh, man, it's a beautiful day. To surf the wave and be pure water. That's all we strive to be, man. The following year, eager for gold and converts to Catholicism, Viceroy Antonio de Mendoza chose Esteban the Moor to accompany Fray Marcos de Niza on an expedition north. So they just put this Marcos de Niza because it was a law that said that since he was a slave, he can't lead the expedition. So they said, well, let's put a proxy to lead the expedition. Now you have this Marcos de Niza, and he's the one popping up where? He's popping up in the map. Now we see Marcos de Niza, Marcos Niza. Marcus Niza, right? On the map over Cibola, Septet, 7 cities. And I just said it's the land of Kalalus or Cibola. Cibola is Kalalus, is Cibola. And if they were fighting for it in 775, reconquering Kalalus in 775 in the 700s, who else was rocking? Who else was rocking? Do you see the picture? Do you see it? Do you see it? Do you see you? Do you see it? Do you see you? Do you see you? If we're just talking Kalalus, which is Cibola, and it just means promised land, and that's just talking about the land of America, and we're talking about the Ruses, Russia, Ruses, Moscow, Moses, Mosaka, Mossack, Mexica, Mexico. Wow. We're talking Sylvanus, Texas, Solomon the Builder. Kalalus was ruled by Sylvanus, Texas, Solomon the Builder, the hereditary ruler by seed of the former Jewish-ruled Roman colony. Roman is Romani, Roma, India, Indies. Kalalus was founded in the 1st century by the Babylonian Exilarch, known as Sylvanus Ogam, Sylvanus Brabo, Solomon II, Babylonian Exilarch. Come on, man. Go. We just talking Mendoza. We just talking about the figure of death. This is the memorialization of poor Esteban the Moor. Here's another drawing of it. These weapons of death. Hey. All right. This is Esteban, huh? Okay. All right. Yeah, man, we got some good ones, man. Love to drop nation. So Mendoza chose Esteban the Moor to accompany Fray Marcos de Niza. We just saw him on a map on an expedition north, dressed in skins and exotic apparel, carrying a gourd and a copper rattle. A gourd and a copper rattle. His mission was to prepare the native inhabitants for the approaching Spaniards, or to pacify them. Who would need food and shelter. But according to Zuni oral history, Esteban violated a sacred boundary. He crossed the line of corn pollen their priest had sprinkled around the pueblos during a sacred ceremony. Zuni warriors killed Esteban at Hawiku. So he went in there and he crossed the line. He crossed the frequency barrier. When Fray Marcos heard about Esteban's death, he hurried back to Mexico City with bad news. Today, a black monster Katsina named Cawana appears in the pueblos of the Southwest during ceremonies. Might Cawana be a representation of the way Zunis and others remember Esteban and the first Spanish expedition into their world? Oh man. We just talking about the cities of gold. Here's some more great information breaking down Mustafa Z. Mori, or Esteban, enslaved as a youth by the Portuguese. It's going to break some more down for you. I'll leave this link. We're just talking Esteban. Love to the family for this. I mean, Esteban the Moor, right? You see it, right? Bang. We're just talking Hawiku. They're calling them ruins. Francisco Coronado, from Coronado to Mendoza, this letter. We're going to get it. He recorded its native name at the time as Cibola, though others who accompanied him wrote it as Cibola. In their accounts, it has been conjectured that the name carries from the word meaning buffalo. Coronado was severely disappointed by the lack of gold, but wrote that he couldn't find it. As far as I can tell, these Indians worship water. They worship pure water. Or that they worship the energy of the representation of what is manifested as water. The energy that flows. The energy of Hawa and Hawiku. The promised land, Kalalus, Cibola, Shimbola, Cibola, because it makes the corn grow and sustains their life. About the Pueblo, he reported, although they are not decorated with turquoises nor made of lime or good bricks, nevertheless they are very good houses with 3, 4, or 5 stories. So, Yeah, you know, they don't have great bricks, but they're 5-story houses where they are very good apartments and some very good rooms, underground kivas. These are sacred temples, sacred areas paved, which are made for winter and have something like hot baths. Man, all right. So then they had these missions. La Purísima Concepción de Hawikuh was established in 1628. The Spanish attempted to suppress the Zuni religion and introduced the encomienda forced labor system in 1632. The Hawikuh Zunis rebelled, burned the church, and killed the priest. The same Zunis, the same Israelites that killed Esteban, kept killing their ass. In 1672, the church was burnt again by Apache raiders, indigenous people, saying, get these hijacks off of our land. And it was burned a final time in 1680. See, you never stop fighting, so-called Negro. You never stop fighting. You never stop fighting. You never got detoured from the mission, from the goal to be hijacked free during the Great Pueblo or First People Revolt, when all the Nuevo Mexico Pueblos rose against the Spaniards, or the indigenous people, the Israelites, the Hebrews here, rose against these Moors against those Moors. After this revolt, Hawikuh was permanently abandoned. The ruins of Hawikuh were excavated during the period 1917 to 1923 by Hayi Foundation under the leadership of Frederick Webb Hodge. The records and artifacts from this excavation are now at the National Museum of the American Indian. Who heard of this museum? Hawikuh was declared a National Historic Landmark in 1961. Is it play? What is this National Museum of the American Indian? National Museum of the American Indian, part of the Smithsonian Institute. You know how they be hiding shit in their basements. And is dedicated to the life, languages, literature, history, and arts of the Native Americans of the Western Hemisphere. It has 3 facilities: the National Museum of American Indian, the National Mall in Washington, D.C., which opened September 21st, 2004, 4th Street, Independence Avenue, Southwest, the George Gustav Hayes Center, a permanent museum in New York City, and a cultural resource center, a research collection facility in Suitland, Maryland. So it's spread out in all these areas. They just putting your stuff in places all over the place. The foundations for the present collections were the first assembled in the former Museum of the American Indian in New York City. New York City, which was established in 1916 and which became part of the Smithsonian in 1990. They just, you know what I'm saying, incorporated, you know, kept buying up and trying to corner the market of all these artifacts and everything that belongs to you. National Museum of the American Indian. Hawikuh is located on the Zuni Indian Reservation near Zuni, New Mexico. The site may be visited with advance permission from the Zuni Tribal Office. Of course, these Zunis today are hijacked. We're not talking Zebulon with them, but we could be talking Zebulon and the indigenous tribe of the Zuni. Now, this translation of the letter from Coronado to Mendoza, August 3rd, 1540, the account given by Francisco Vasquez de Coronado, Captain General of the force, which was sent in the name of His Majesty to the newly discovered country, of what happened to the expedition after April 22 of the year. What's this? I'm not good. I don't speak Roman, all right? But, I'm guessing we're talking to 1540. When he started forward from Culhuacan, and of what he found in the country through which he passed. Francisco Vasquez starts from Culhuacan with his army, and after suffering various inconveniences on account of the badness of the way, reaches the Valley of Hearts, where he failed to find any corn to procure, which he sends to the valley called Sonora. He receives an account of the important Valley of Hearts, and of the people there, and of some lands lying along that coast. On the 22nd of the month of April last, I set out from the previous of Culhuacan with a part of the army, having made the arrangements of which I wrote to your lordship. Judging by the outcome, I feel sure that it was fortunate that I did not start the whole of the army on this undertaking, because the labors have been so very great, and the lack of food such, that I do not believe this undertaking could have been completed before the end of this year, and that there would be a great loss of life if it should be accomplished. For as I wrote to your lordship, I spent 80 days in traveling to Culiacan. So again, hold up. Just to be clear, this is the translation of the letter from Coronado to Mendoza. So this is Coronado's letter, who made this journey, and we'll get a piece of Mendoza's letter that predated this as well. For as I wrote to your lordship, I spent 80 days in traveling to Culiacan, during which time I and the gentlemen of my company, who were horsemen, carried on our backs and on our horses a little food, in such wise that after leaving this place none of us carried any necessary effects weighing more than 1 pound. For all this, and although we took all possible care and forethought of the small supply of provisions which we carried, it gave out. And this is not to be wondered at, because the road is rough and long, and what with our buses, which had to be carried up the mountains and hills, and in the passage of the rivers, the great part of the corn was lost. And since I sent your lordship a drawing of this route, I will say no more about it here. So you say you got the drop, man. You got the drawing, man. Now, let's read the little print. And I hate these type of PDFs because they know what they're doing. They be locking certain pages up on us, man. But we just surfing it, man. We're going to get what we need. No diggity. No diggity. Now, since this statement is probably not correct, we're referring to I spent 80 days in traveling to Culiacan. Alright, so he's saying, this statement is probably not correct. It may be due to a blunder by Ramusio in translating from the original text. 80 days would be nearly the time which Coronado probably spent on the journey from Culiacan to Cibola, and the interpretation would render the rest of the sentence much more intelligible. Okay. And we got some drop, we got a skip for some reason, Alright, but let's keep going. Something cheerfully along a very bad way, where it was impossible to pass without making a new road or repairing the one that was there, which troubled the soldiers not a little, considering that everything which the friar had said was found to be quite the reverse, because among other things which the father had said and declared, he said that the way would be plain and good, and that there would be only one small hill of about half a league. And the truth is that there are mountains where, however well the path might be fixed, they could not be crossed without there being great danger of the horses falling over them. And it was so bad that a large number of animals, which your lordship sent as provisions for the army, were lost along this part of the way. So they had animals falling off cliffs looking for the drop, on account of the roughness of the rocks. The lambs and wethers lost their hooves along the way, and I left the greater part of those which I brought from Culiacan at the river of La Chimi, because they were unable to travel, and so that they might proceed more slowly. 4 horsemen remain with them, who have just arrived. They have not brought more than 24 lambs and 4 wethers. The rest died from the toil. Although they did not travel more than 2 leagues daily, I reached the Valley of Hearts at last on the 26th day of the month of May, and rested there a number of days. Between Culiacan and this place, I could sustain myself only by means of a large supply of corn bread, because I had to leave all the corn, and it was not yet ripe. In this Valley of Hearts, we found more people than in any part of the country which we had left behind, and a large extent of tilled ground. There was no corn for food among them, but as I heard that there was some in another valley called Sonora, which I did not wish to disturb by force, I sent Melchior Diaz with goods to exchange for us, so as to give this to the friendly Indians whom we brought with us, and to some who had lost their animals along the way and had not been able to carry the food which they had taken from Culiacan. By the favor of our Lord, some little corn was obtained by this trading, which relieved the friendly Indians and some Spaniards. 10 or 12 of the horses had died of overwork by the time that we reached the Valley of Hearts, because they were unable to stand the strain of carrying heavy burdens and eating little. Some of our Negroes, and when we refer to Negroes, they also refer to Esteban the Negro. So they are, in my, comprehension, what I'm saying, referring to Negroes specifically in terms of this, North African, Morocco, Moor situation. So they're, making a differentiation between the Negro and the Indian, or the African and the American, so-called black man. All right. So let's just, see what we're talking about. Some of our Negroes and some of the Indians also died here. Man, which was not a slight loss. Remember, Esteban was a slave, according to them, right? So, they had more Moors, and some of the Indians also died here, which was not a slight loss for the rest of the expedition. And remember, this is after the 1452 Papal Bull Dum Diversas, saying to subjugate the Saracens. And now you have these subjugated Saracens, or so-called Saracens, or Moors, or, Muslim, Islam, Thoth, whatever you want to call it. They have them, subjugated, in particular in Portugal, whatever the case is going on. And so they have these Negroes from Spain and Morocco, and some of the Indians also died here. They're the Indians that were rocking with them, the friendly ones, right? Which was not a slight loss for the rest of the expedition. They told me that the Valley of Hearts is a long 5 days journey from the Western Sea. I sent to summon Indians from the coast in order to learn about their condition, and while I was waiting for these, the horses rested. I stayed there 4 days, during which the Indians came from the sea, who told me that there were 7 or 8 islands 2 days' journey from the seacoast directly opposite, well populated with people, but poorly supplied with food, and the people were savages. Now we're just talking the Americas, so we're talking about the Caribs. With the Caribs, they called, some documents called them cannibals, maybe not, but they're calling them savages in their perspective, right? They told me they had seen a ship pass not very far from the land. I do not know whether to think that it was the one which was sent to discover the country, discover you Negroes, or perhaps some Portuguese. Ah, man. All right. And then he's going to get into going deeper, from the hearts, and kept near the seacoast as well as I can judge. But in fact, I found myself continually farther off, so that when I reached Chiquiticali, I found that I was 15 days' journey distant from the sea, although the Father Provincial... they're locking me out. All right. Anyway, I wanted to stop there because I want to get into this, a couple things, man. I want to get into a couple things. So I'm going to leave this link. We're going to get more into this letter, and so you can keep it going and surf the wave yourself. We're just talking about the journey of Coronado. We're just talking about the translation of the letter from Coronado to Mendoza. And before that, we have Mendoza's letter. The death of Esteban the Negro took place in the way the Father, Friar Marcos, described it to your lordship, and so I do not make a report of it here, except that the people of Cibola, Shimbala, sent word to those of this village and in its neighborhood that if any... I knew it, man. Dallas the Pueblo of Maquiata, mentioned by Marcos de Niza. This village was suitable near the Salt Lake, and had been destroyed by the Zuni some years before Niza visited New Mexico. I'm talking Salt Lakes, man. But yeah, this particular letter is Mendoza's letter. So this one is, a little bit before the letter from Coronado. So, this is page 154 of the manuscript here. One of the Indians, I'm just jumping in, belly flopping since they keep cutting us off. I'm just going to belly flop. One of the Indians that accompanied the Negro Esteban, who had been a captive there, saw the playing as they practiced it and others singing as I said it, although not very vigorously. They say that 5 or 6 play together and that some of the flutes are better than others. They say the country is good for corn and bees. Remember the maize from here and bees. And they do not have any fruit trees, nor do they know what such a thing is. They have very good mountains. The country lacks water. They do not raise cotton, but bring it from Totonacatia. They eat out of flat bowls like the Mexicans. They raise considerable corn and beans and other similar things. They do not know what sea fish is, nor have they ever heard of it. I have not obtained any information about the cows, except that these are found beyond the province of Cibola. There is a great abundance of wild goats, of the color of bay horses. There are also many of these here where I am, and although I have asked the Indians if those are like these, they tell me no. Of the 7 settlements, they describe 3 of them as very large, 4 not so big. They describe them, as I understand, to be about 3 crossbow shots square for each place, and from what the Indians say, their descriptions of the houses and their sizes, and thought they cut me off again. And these are close together, and considering that there are people in each house, it ought to make a large multitude. Totonacatia is declared to be 7 short days from the province of Cibola, and of the same sort of houses and people, and they say that cotton grows there. I doubt this, because they tell me that it is a cold country. They say that there are 12 villages, every one of which is larger than the largest at Cibola. They also tell me that there is a village which is 1 day from Cibola, and that the 2 are at war. They have the same sort of houses and people and customs. They declare this to be greater than any of those described. I take it that there is a great multitude of people there. They are very well known on account of having these houses in abundance. So again, they're just discovering all these places, all these cities of gold, all of this drop, and all of these populated areas, and you Negro think you come from Africa. Copper color race is found here. All this well-populated area. Regardless, they're thinking they discovered something. They're acting like, look, we discovered a new world. Full of people, full of customs, full of language, full of art. And they discovered something. When are you going to get over the spectacle that you don't exist? When they put all this effort into conquering your provinces, the province of Cibola, the Negro Esteban, the Moor. Again, when they refer to Negro, they're putting it right near Esteban. This is where it's coming from. That's why we say so-called Negro. Alright, so this is just the beginning, getting to the top. I think they cut off the first page too, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Yeah, alright. So this is supposed to be the first page of the letter here. They cut it off. And then they make us belly flop into the second, you know what I'm saying? Your Majesty, we can get along without the rest because the fortress was built on account of the brigantines and not for any other purpose, as the lagoon is so dry that it can do no good in this way. For the present, I think that for this reason the cost is superfluous. I believe that it will have fallen in before a reply can come from your majesty. So they're just trying to look. He set off from Culiacan with 15 horsemen. The 17th of November, the 20th of this present March, I received a letter from him, which he sent me by Juan de Zaldivar, 3 other horsemen. In this, he says that after he left Culiacan and crossed the river of Petatlin. This reminds me of something Horace Butler dropped about where he's saying this Moses migration, this Exodus leaving Egypt, right there where you know, the Grand Canyon, the Four Corners situation. And it reminded me of this Peta, something like that. So go get that drop and let me know if that lines up. It's over in the backup channel, so check it out. He was everywhere, very well received by the Indians. The way he did was to send a cross to the place where he was going to stop. Now you see these crosses all over the place. You think, yeah. The way he did was to send a cross to the place where he was going to stop, because this was a sign which the Indians received with deep veneration, making a house out of mats in which to place it. And somewhat away from this, they made a lodging for the Spaniards and drove stakes where they could tie the horses, and supplied fodder for them and abundance of corn wherever they had it. They say that they suffered from hunger in many places because it had been a bad year. After going 100 leagues from Culiacan, he began to find the country cold with severe frost, and the farther he went on, the colder it became, until he reached a point where some Indians whom he had with him were frozen. Wow, and 2 Spaniards were in great danger. Seeing this, he decided not to go any farther until the winter was over, and to send back, by those whom I mentioned, an account of what he had learned concerning Cibola in the country beyond, which is as follows, taken literally from his letter. So this is Mendoza. I have given your lordship an account of what happened to me along the way, and seeing that it was impossible to cross the inhabited region which stretches from here to Cibola, on account of the heavy snows and the cold, I will give your lordship an account of what I had learned about Cibola, which I have ascertained by asking many persons. This is this is Mendoza. All right, so hey, we're gonna hear it. We're gonna get that a lot. We're gonna get a lot of Mendoza. We got a lot of Mendoza. The Viceroy, right? I ascertained by asking many persons who had been there 15, 20 years, and I secured this in many different ways, taking some Indians together, and others separately, and on comparison, they all seem to agree in what they say. After crossing this large wilderness, there are 7 places, being a short day's march from one another, all of which are together called Cibola, or Calelus. Cibola, or Calelus. Calelus was ruled by Sylvanus Texas Solomon the Builder. Calelus means promised land in America. Seven places. He crossed a large wilderness, 7 places, being a short day's march from one another, all of which are together called Cibola. The houses are of stone and mud, coarsely worked. They are made in this way, one large wall, and at the end of the wall some rooms are built, partitioned off 20 feet square according to the description they give, which are planked with square beams. Most of the houses are reached from the flat roofs, using their ladders to go to the streets. The houses have 3 or 4 stories. They declare that there are few having 2 stories. The stories are mostly half as high again as a man, except the first one, which is low, and a little more than a man's height, one ladder is used to communicate with 10 or 12 houses together. They make use of the low ones and live in the high ones. In the lowest ones of all they have some loopholes made sideways, and in the fortresses of Spain, the Indians say that when these people are attacked, they station themselves in their houses and fight from there. Wow, so they got their defenses from their cribs, man. They say, man, bunker up, let go. They fight from there. And that when they go to make war, they carry shields and wear leather jackets, which are made of cow's hide, colored. And that they fight with, they got us locked down, man. So we're doing our best, man. I'm sorry if you got another PDF that can fill in the blanks. I love you, man. Hit us up, man. Hit us up. Let's get this last part. We're going to jump into some good watching, some good drop. All right. They were unable, it's a quote, they were unable to tell me of any metal, nor did they say they had it. They have turquoises in quantity, although not so many as the Father Provincial said. They have some little stone crystals like this, which I sent to your lordship, of which your lordship has seen many here in New Spain. They cultivate the ground in the same way as in New Spain. We're talking Mexico. They carry things on their heads as in Mexico. The men wear weave cloth and spin cotton. Weave cloth. The men wear weave cloth and spin cotton. They have salt from the marshy lake. Salt lake, salt lake, salt lake. We're just talking about Cibola. We're just talking Salt Lakes and Cibola. Alright. We're just talking Utah. We're talking the Chinampas, the Sanpete Valley. We're talking Utah. We're talking Lake Capella. We're talking Salt Lake. We're talking Lake Campella. We're talking the treasures of Utah. Alright. Cibola. And let's pay attention to the water, the water, the water. Utah, the water. So it's all relative when we deal on these lakes. They carry things on their head. They have salt from a marshy lake, which is 2 days from the provinces of Cibola. The Indians have their dances and songs with some flutes, which have holes on which to put the fingers. So they didn't even know what a flute was. They make much noise. They sing in unison with those who play, and those who sing clap their hands in our fashion. One of the Indians that accompanied the Negro Moor Esteban, who had been a captive there, saw the playing as they practiced it, and others singing, as I said, although not very vigorously. They say that 5 or 6 play together, and that some of the flutes are better than others. They say the country is good for corn and beans, and that they, alright, so we got some of this do not have fruit trees. I mean, do you believe that? Do you believe that? So, we surf the wave, man. We're just trying to get the drop. And, yeah, we're going to get some more into the letter, especially pertaining to the response letter from Coronado to Mendoza. And, yeah, Titatiac is declared to be 7 short days from the province of Cibola. We're just talking about Cibola or what? Cibola or who? Cibola or huh? Oh yeah. Let's see what we got here. Cibola, Shambhala. Cibola, Shambhala, a pure land, mythical place. They're looking for it in that India when it's in this India, this Shambhala. Cibola, we're talking Grand Canyon. Cibola, we're talking 7 peaks, 7 caves. Remember, Acacor is above and below. They got Acacor in the peak and Acacor in the subterranean dwellings, and we'll get some more of that out the Chronicle of Acacor. We're talking the land of Ophir. We're talking the Aztec legend of Aztlan, Plato's mythical Atlantis, the Roman or Romani, Jewish or Israelite, the Indian Israelite, Kalalis, Romani Israelite, Roma, Indian Israelite, Promised Land, the Spanish kingdom of Cibola. No, not Spanish, because the Spaniards just discovered it. It is the kingdom, the Israelite kingdom, Hawiku, Simbala, Shimbala, Kalalu's Promised Land, and the 7 cities around Lake Kapala. The Tibetan Hindu mystical 7 cities, kingdoms of Shambhala or Shimbala or Sheba. And what does that have to do with Eva? What this tile's talking about, right? Yeah, we're talking the Welsh Anween and King Arthur's Camelot. Yeah, the land of Avalon, and many others such as King Solomon's mines and the land of Ophir and Moses' promised land. Yeah, man. Ho ho. I love surfing the way with you. I love to Herm P, man, who dropped some more on this this Pizarro, man. This Francisco Pizarro. Now, if you go back to the last drop, Esteban and Tal and the whole crew got jammed up by Pizarro. Who is Pizarro? Let's watch a quick drop on who Pizarro is before we get back into the Chronicle of Akakor. We do some more belly flopping, man, in the Chronicle of Akakor, and even some more cities of gold that are popping up, man. Drop Nation's wonderful for keeping us going, keeping the water flowing, keeping us moving and surfing the wave. Let's check out Pizarro,
man. In the 16th century, the Spanish conquistadors tore into the new world of South America. Francisco Pizarro, an illiterate peasant soldier who conquered Peru, was perhaps the most ruthless.
An illiterate peasant soldier. Remember, these people are dirt poor. If you weren't dirt poor, you wouldn't have to be looking for shit, gold and food and all this shit, you know, but you're dirt poor. You're dirt poor coming to a place where copper-colored people already are. And then now our minds are flipped upside down. We think we're poor and you're rich because you took our stuff. But if you took my wallet, it's still my wallet. You took my house, it's still my house. Now they have trust funds and they treat you like, oh, you just in the hood, you ghetto trash. These are our cities of gold. And this is the awakening.
Of these soldiers of fortune. In 15 years, he and his followers killed thousands of indigenous Indians.
Wow.
Wiped out the ruling Inca monarchy.
Ooh.
And enslaved an empire. These acts were committed in pursuit of power, gold, and religious imperialism. Few men have changed the course of world history in such a violent, ruthless manner. Francisco Pizarro was born in 1478 in the poor rural Spanish community of Trujillo. His peasant mother abandoned him on the steps of the local church.
Wow. He was the illegitimate son of a Captain Gonzalo Pizarro, who was a small-time gentry man from Spanish city of Trujillo.
In his youth, Pizarro showed little promise. Unable to read or write, Francisco became a swineherd. By the early 16th century, the Spanish conquest of the New World was underway. Ordinary men were bringing great fortunes back home. The harsh conditions in rural Spain produced tough, brutal mercenaries who were prepared to travel overseas and risk their lives in search of glory.
The one thing which set the imagination of men like Pizarro going was seeing in south-western Spain not just Indians who were brought back, but gold objects. And they immediately saw an opportunity to get rich quick, I suppose.
At the age of 23, Pizarro left Trujillo for the New World. He had become a soldier of fortune. In 1501, he arrived in the Americas and joined a series of expeditions to find land and gold. The conquistadors were waging a brutal, merciless war against vulnerable Indian natives in the name of the Spanish crown and the Catholic Church. This wasn't Renaissance Europe. It was a place where men killed their brothers for a gold ingot. For mercenaries like Pizarro, unimaginable power and wealth were on offer.
I think he was like anybody there, like any young soldier with license to do anything they wanted. And for young soldiers at the time that could kill, rape, and did any other atrocity, that was part of war.
Pizarro joined up with another soldier, Diego de Almagro, and the pair earned a reputation for their ruthlessness in dealing with the natives.
In Panama, Pizarro and Almagro had a living, and that the main income of this living came from their ability to capture runaway Indians. So their first fame was as those two guys that are able to catch any Indian at any cost.
Once captured, Indians were treated like animals. Pizarro excelled at torture. He was known for burning the eyes of Indian chiefs to get their gold.
Exemplary punishments, cruel punishments like cutting off hands and feet, cutting off noses, cutting off ears, were often resorted to.
By 1522, Pizarro was 44. He had a comfortable life in Panama, but wanted much more. He'd seen how other ruthless adventurers had plundered massive fortunes. A fellow Spaniard, Cortés, had conquered Mexico and accumulated great wealth by seizing Aztec gold.
News travelled fast, and it was in a sense the desire to find something similar or even richer than what Cortés found in Mexico, which persuaded Pizarro and his companions to start probing down the Pacific coast.
In 1526, Pizarro and Almagro set sail from Panama to conquer the unexplored lands of the south. After months without finding anything, the men were mutinous.
So some of the soldiers complained in secret to the governor of Panama, and the governor of Panama sent another ship to pick them up.
Pizarro's starving men had camped on a hostile island off the coast of Colombia called the Isla del Gallo. When the rescue boat arrived, Pizarro was furious at the lack of loyalty. He took his sword and drew a line in the sand, demanding those who wanted to carry on to cross it.
To some degree, Pizarro's decision to draw a line in the sand, it was a risk. It was a risk which paid off because he eventually succeeded.
Of the original 160 men, only 13 crossed the line. The others returned to Panama and safety. Pizarro eventually reached the Peruvian coastline and landed at the town of Tumbes. The local Indians had never seen Europeans before. The heavily armored Spaniards who emerged from huge wooden ships were like aliens to them.
Aliens!
They live in the sea. In a house made out of wood. Nobody makes a house of wood here. Okay? But not only that, they have iron. Some of them have like a tail for the sword. Okay? They have wool in the face, like my llama. Wool in the face. Okay? Wow.
The locals gave the Spaniards gold, silver, and precious stones. They told stories of great cities containing unimaginable riches. Pizarro had found his El Dorado, but had to be patient. This historic meeting of races meant nothing. Pizarro simply ordered one of his soldiers to scout the town for a future attack when he returned with reinforcements. Pizarro went back to Spain and triumphantly headed for the town of his birth.
Pizarro was drawn to his hometown of Trujillo, partly because of its tradition by now of sending fit, able, competent young men, many with some sort of military experience, to America. He was drawn by the whole family network.
He recruited his half-brothers, Gonzalo, Juan, and Hernando.
One of the strong links was blood link. If you can trust somebody, it has to be your blood. So in that sense, it was very helpful that they had all these brothers around. And at the end, if they gain something, it's still within the family.
Before he could return to Peru, Pizarro needed approval from the Spanish king, Charles V.
The monarchy was an enthusiastic supporter of the idea that it might become richer and more powerful, and that through the monarchy, Spanish civilization would become more important, greater, more recognized by the rest of Western European.
Now, they're not going to tell you this, but we are already well informed that this Charles and this James and this all this are melanated family there. So he's seeking approval from black people, so-called negros. These are the families that are ruling in secrecy, that disappear and you don't know, but you have a proxy, you have managers. Pizarro was a manager. These people are nothing but manager. They're managing colonies. They're managing what, plantations? You're over there working on your own plantation, on your own land, in your own house with a manager. Charles, James, melanated. Let's go.
Christendom.
Charles V was about to extend his territory. 2,000 miles away in Peru, the Inca Empire was in disarray.
There had been a vicious civil war in Peru before the Spaniards arrived.
This civil war was between rival Incas. Huascar had been beaten by his brother, Atahualpa.
The civil wars weakened the Incas so that when they faced the Spaniards...
So the tribes were already at war, the civil war of more and more.
Yes, they were clearly not at the top of their power.
Unlike the vulnerable Incas, the Spanish were well trained in the art of conquest.
Remember that the Spaniards were coming out of 700 years of constant struggle and combat against the Moors. These were people that have been bred for 700 years, generation after generation of warriors.
Pizarro returned to Tumbes in April 1532. In the 4 years he'd been away, the town had been ravaged by the civil war.
He realized from the reception that he got in Tumbes that he was not going to have to fight his way through Peru. And I think he was then very quickly aware that the majority of the Indians with whom he first came into contact were not going to resist him.
Seizing the opportunity provided by a divided nation, Pizarro gave the order to cross the Tumbes River and head south into the unknown heart of Atahualpa's Inca Empire. They marched to the city of Cajamarca, where Atahualpa would meet them.
Atahualpa and his men came to Cajamarca, probably without a very clear idea of precisely how they were going to deal with these strange men. What they weren't prepared for was the ferocity, the savagery of the Spanish attack.
The Incas were expecting a peaceful encounter. Pizarro saw this as an opportunity to seize power.
When Atahualpa arrives in Cajamarca, there is a small group of Spaniards that approach him. The other group of Spaniards are within the different buildings that surrounded the square and are ready with weapons.
The Spanish were not in the mood for negotiation. Pizarro said he was an ambassador from a great king overseas. His priest urged Atahualpa to reject his false idols and worship the true Christian God.
The friar Valverde handed a religious book to Atahualpa. Atahualpa almost unwittingly played his part in the script by throwing away that symbol of the true religion of Spanish superiority.
With the excuse he needed,
No hijack.
Pizarro ordered the attack. In an act of unrestrained savagery, his men drew their arms and began shooting into the crowd. The shocked Incas were thrown into panic.
For the Incas, the Spanish might have been seen as something absolutely overwhelming, a force of nature maybe.
These people were shot not only with guns but with cannons, and also horses were thrown to them. It was just panic.
In the confusion, Atahualpa was dragged from his throne and captured, while the mounted Spanish soldiers tore into the fleeing Incas. Over 2,000 Incas died, and 5,000 were captured. More importantly for Pizarro, the native emperor was his hostage.
They knew that they have one key individual that was the leader. If you take the leader, no, everybody else will fall.
In a bloody double cross, Francisco Pizarro had captured the head of the mighty Incan Empire. He was now in a prime position to conquer this new world and satisfy his lust for power and gold. Francisco Pizarro had launched his conquest of Peru and taken the Incan Emperor Atahualpa hostage. He saw him as a prized asset.
You have to understand that Pizarro's behavior is nothing but the same behavior of a contemporary kid member who will always take care of his or her victim first and will go to extremes to guarantee his livelihood.
Pizarro wanted to get his hands on the wealth of the Incan Empire and demanded vast sums of gold and silver as Atahualpa's ransom. The petrified Incas filled 2 rooms full of gold and silver for the Spaniards.
Gold was usually associated with the sun and silver was associated with the moon. So that the proper way to revere the sun god was to produce golden objects. When the Incas discovered that the Spaniards were basically after gold, for them it must have been a shock because these were basically religious objects that were used for ritual.
Pizarro didn't care about the cultural significance of these artifacts. He began melting them down into gold bars.
When all had been melted down, the Spaniards had 13,000 pounds weight of gold. That's about 6 tons of gold and 26,000 tons of silver in bars.
Pizarro's men had been promised fortunes when they set out. After their military success, they were each rewarded with a share of the booty.
They were obsessed by gold because they never saw that amount of gold in their lives. And they got so much that everything became very expensive. You want to buy a horse, you had to pay the amount of money you could buy 3 houses in Spain. Why? Because everybody had gold.
While Pizarro satisfied the greed of his men for the time being, he kept up a facade of friendship with his prisoner.
Pizarro had a very strong relationship with Atahualpa. It was openly strong, it was well rehearsed, but it was only because it was in his best interest. It was part of his policy.
Atahualpa remained under close guard. He grew increasingly dependent on the Spanish, and was even coerced into ordering the death of his rival brother, Huascar. Pizarro had stayed long enough in Cajamarca. His scouts told him of many new territories offering greater riches. After 12 months in captivity, Atahualpa was outgrowing his usefulness.
I think Pizarro knew that if he was going to take control of this empire, that killing Atahualpa would not only get rid of an enemy who'd served his purpose, it would assist him in projecting himself to the very heart of the Inca Empire.
After befriending the fallen emperor, Pizarro betrayed him. Atahualpa was found guilty of treason and condemned to death by burning at the stake. For the Incas, the sentence was horrific. They believed that burning would deny their emperor an afterlife. In order to keep his soul, Atahualpa was forced to accept baptism. He was then garroted in Cajamarca on the 26th of July, 1533.
Man.
Pizarro marched on the ancient city of Cusco, the spiritual home of the Incas.
Cusco, the navel of the earth. We're talking Peru, Haru, Salam.
The last bastion of potential rebellion.
City of David.
To avoid conflict, he offered the Inca monarchy a share of power.
He was prepared to do a deal with the Inca elite in Cusco, so it's a skillful combination of force and diplomacy.
Pizarro crowned a puppet king, Manco Inca.
Manco Inca was used by the Spaniards. He was prepared to collaborate with them in return for being given the title Inca, and in return for his extended family being, in theory, confirmed in its position.
Now dominant in the city, Pizarro encouraged his soldiers to enjoy the fruits of their labor. They looted religious temples for gold and took any Incan woman they fancied. Mixed-race children were a useful way of cementing the Spanish presence.
This is where you see this politics of...
Mixed-race children were a way of solidifying their presence, so they spread their Spaniard seed, and now you have Spaniard seeds now claiming to be Inca and Mexica and Mexico and Peruvian and all these things. And what are they? Spaniard seeds, mixed race, made here by this particular invasion and this particular, weapon of war, because they were useful in what?
In the city, Pizarro encouraged his soldiers to enjoy the fruits of their labor. They looted religious temples for gold and took any Incan woman they fancied. Mixed-race children were a useful way of cementing the Spanish presence.
This is where you see this politics of mixing bloods very conveniently. He would never allow an indigenous noble girl to marry a man that was not part of Pizarro's team.
Pizarro was also in dispute with his old partner, Almagro, who felt he and his men hadn't had a proper share in the spoils of conquest. To placate him, Pizarro sent Almagro to the unknown lands to the south, where he could claim what he found as his own. Francisco Pizarro left Cusco to set up his new capital of Lima on the coast. He left two of his brothers in charge of Cusco, but Juan and Gonzalez lacked the leadership powers of their half-brother.
We have a number of accounts of the Spaniards fulfilling the almost stereotyped role of aggressive, ignorant, greedy, bloodthirsty conquerors.
The conquistadors were out of control. Their greed and bad behavior caused resentment amongst the Incas.
It was so rude and so rough that a few of them left everything, went back to Spain after seeing what was going on.
In 1535, the frustrated puppet leader Manco Inca was caught trying to raise resistance against the Spanish. He was clapped in irons, tortured, and publicly humiliated.
Well, Manco's life is tragic. He starts as a puppet Inca. He then is humiliated. He was at least clever enough to run away.
One night, Manco slipped out of Cusco and grouped together a significant Incan army. Now, the Incas were fighting not only for their lives, but for the existence of their race. In May 1535, the oppressed people of Cusco rose up and fought the Spanish forces in the hills above the city. Despite their limited technology, the Incas managed to take control.
They certainly succeeded in capturing the city of Cusco, which they held for about a week.
The Incas may have beaten the Spanish had Pizarro's old partner Almagro not returned from his expedition to reinforce the struggling Spanish forces.
He arrived back, however, in Cuzco just in time to ensure that Manco Inca's revolt would not succeed, and he then installed himself in command in Cuzco.
Almagro still felt cheated by Pizarro. His conquest to Chile had been fruitless. He decided to take matters into his own hands.
There was a power struggle, effectively, between Almagro and Pizarro, each of whom could claim with some justice to have the crown on his side.
Pizarro wanted to get rid of his troublesome partner, but he was now the respectful governor of Lima and didn't want to get his hands dirty by murdering a successful conquistador and subject of the king.
It was he who had authorized his brother Hernando to put together the force which defeated Almagro.
Almagro was caught and executed in Cuzco. His head was displayed as a warning to other would-be rebels. With the threat to his power extinguished, Pizarro played the part of a Spanish colonial governor.
He built himself a governor's palace on the main square in Lima. He essentially enjoyed the fruits of his success in Peru.
In 1541, Don Francisco Pizarro was 63 years old. One evening, a band of assassins surprised him as he ate dinner in his residence. Although he fought desperately, he was overpowered and slain. He was killed by the avenging son of Almagro, his former friend.
The fatal blow went through his jawbone, through his jugular, and actually severed the upper part of his spine, his spinal column. There were, I think, 70 other wounds found on the remains. He was the subject of a violent, frenzied attack. It was certainly, in a very obvious way, revenge by the Almagris.
After successfully conquering a nation and destroying an indigenous race, Francisco Pizarro was murdered by his own people.
Whoa! Love to Herb P. Let's take that right into the drive. Mysterious Cities of Gold. This is what you came for, and this is what you want. Yo, man, love the Turtle Gang. Let's just go, man. Let's have some fun.
It is the 16th century. From all over Europe, great ships sail west to conquer the New World, the Americas. The men eager to seek their fortune, to find new adventures in new lands. They long to cross uncharted seas and discover unknown countries, to find secret gold on a mountain trail high in the Andes. They dream of following the path of the setting sun that leads to El Dorado and the mysterious cities of gold.
Oh, yeah.
Children of the sun, see your time has just begun. Searching for your ways through adventures every day and night. With the condor in flight, with all your friends in tow, you search for the cities of gold. Wishing for the cities of gold.
Cities of gold. Cities of gold. Come on. Let's go. The cities of gold. Shit.
After many adventures, Esteban and his friends finally set foot on the new continent. But there, they meet the soldiers of Governor Pizarro, men sick only of gold. They capture Zia to make her tell them the way to the cities of gold. But Tao and Esteban help her to escape.
out how to get the ship underway.
We better get out quick. Pizarro's soldiers are almost here.
Without the sun, the ship will never move fast enough.
They're here!
What?
There! Look, a horseman!
Whoa!
Sunshine! If only we had some sunshine!
Esteban just make the sun come out. Look at Estebanico. Alright, see them got him looking like a little white boy, a little white kid. Alright, but a little Spaniard kid like that. But you already know what the drop is, so let's go.
We're safe, Tal!
That's Esteban.
Wonderful! Follow me!
Forward!
And they thought they could capture us as easily as that!
Lucky we didn't try to attack them. What are you waiting for, you oafs? Fire at them! Take them prisoner!
Alright, that's Pizarro. Firing on the high-tech ship, y'all. High-tech.
Seen such a strange ship.
Governor Pizarro will be furious when he finds out they got away.
It doesn't matter. We'll attack the village and take some prisoners. Shoot anyone on sight who resists.
They couldn't believe their eyes. In the ship, maybe we'll get to Lima sooner than we thought.
Change course, 20 degrees to port, maintain speed.
What's wrong, Coca Petal?
Great guns a galleon. Town, change course at once, wheel to starboard, move smartly, full starboard.
At this speed, it's impossible.
Cow, it's a galleon.
Aha! At last we found them again. They thought they could get away, but we will have the last laugh yet. We must block their way. Prepare to fire.
Excellency!
Prepare to fire! Fire! They're putting up a barrage. We'll have to take evasive measures. Quick, tell town.
Right away.
Santo, it looks like we're never going to see those cities in gold.
Tao, let's go right into the line of fire. You must set a zigzag course.
Certainly not. It's too dangerous.
Zigzag course.
Good, Tom. Keep going. Just like that. If only we could sail a straight course, we could outdistance them easily. forcing them back to the shore, they'll end up running onto a reef.
Look, Mendoza, we're getting too close to the shore. Hal, can't you think of anything else to do?
Don't you think if I knew I'd have done it already? Careful, the lever.
But I already pulled it.
I still don't know what it's supposed to do. We've never tried that one.
What? Oh.
High-tech ship, power of the sun, solar power.
What the devil is that infernal light? Oh! Senor Gomez! We've got fire! The ship is burning! Astern! Astern! Get away from that burning ray at all costs!
Look! They're in retreat! What wonderful power!
I'll say one thing, Zia. This ship has a lot of surprises in store for us.
I've got it. I understand. It's all explained here.
What?
Behind the solar sail, there's a metal sheet, you see? Like a reflecting mirror that stores up a fantastic amount of energy. You just have to aim it, and it uses the rays of the sun, like a gun.
And that means that the lever that I pulled...
Yes, that's it. The lever is the control for the metal sheet.
Well, that's one more time that you saved us, child of the sun.
On the other hand, if you had pulled the red lever next to it, that would have been way too bad.
Why?
The heat stored up in the reflector sheet would have gone off with a single burst, just like a bomb.
What?
Confidentially, if I'd known it would be like this, I'd have stayed home.
Well, that's a terrible ship, it says.
Oh, you can always leave if that's how you feel.
Huh?
If all you can do is criticize my wonderful ship, I don't see why you should stay on it anyway.
No, we only... That is to say...
He's right, you two buffoons. Apologize to Tal.
Sorry.
I was wrong. Sorry, Tom.
Sorry, too.
Watch out! Watch out!
Wait, isn't that Tahaka's village? It looks like it. Let's get over there. They're being attacked.
You realize we too would be in some degree of danger.
Don't you worry. I'll fight them with all the power of the sun.
This is ridiculous. Mendoza, you can't let them play games with our lives.
Gone too far.
Let them do what they want until we get to the cities of gold. Remember, we still need them.
And then what? He gonna kill him? And then what, Mendoza? And then what, Mendoza?
Open fire! Fire! Show no mercy!
Hulk is wounded. Run, everyone. We must get away.
What's going on? What is this? By the devil's Blackbeard, it's Mendoza's ship! We can't fight a power that great! Run for your lives!
Hooray! We did it! We did it! Look at them!
Now, is that play? Or does this ship really had this high-power sunbeam and was icing these people? And is that put in their records? Is this kept from the records, the high-tech nature of things? Or do they want to keep thinking that you had some basic thing, never heard of metal? So one document says, oh, they ain't never heard of metal. They're just doing primitive shit. And then you get dropped from 82 that was put out in Tokyo about high-tech shit that they're finding in these temples and this what they're calling ruins, and one of them is this high-tech super-duper sunship. Which one are you gonna rock with? The high-techness? Remember how they all went down when when we showed that 3-minute drop with all the weapons and these phaser beams popping off, but yet either you are just a chilling with the bow and arrow, or you got phaser beams, man. You got high-tech stuff, man. Which reality do you accept? You see, you recon, you research. What are they telling you? What's being hidden? I mean, we got Pizarro, and now Pizarro is fighting this high-tech stuff they've never seen before.
Over there, look, he's not even wounded. Seems to be having difficult time climbing the hill.
Well, big pot-bellied, are you climbing the cliff or taking a little exercise?
Well done, see, you should have never put us up for prison.
Looks like if the soldiers are in flight. Tao, do you think we can move in closer to the shore?
We could try.
Esteban, I'm so happy to see you again. Thank you for saving my village.
He isn't wounded too badly, I hope.
No, but he's still losing blood.
You must leave this village, Tahaka. Pizarro's soldiers will come and attack you again. Then you will all be killed. Oh, Tahaka!
Mendoza, well, watch out.
What is it?
The galleon, it's here.
Already?
To the ship!
Wait, Tao, that's not wise.
I don't want them to take the Solaris. I'm responsible for that ship.
Esteban, Tao, Zia.
Esteban, Tao, come back at once. It's too dangerous. You'll all be killed.
Tao knows what he's up to. What do you think they'll do with the ship?
Now, you lot, listen to me. Your ship is in my hands. If you want it back, you have to give me Zia in exchange. And if you refuse to give her up, you will all die.
Alvarez!
That brute Alvarez managed to save his own skin. They must have fished him out of the water.
Put Zia in a boat and row her out to us, and you stay within sight all the time. I'll give you exactly 5 minutes to do what I say.
Stay where you are. If you run away, they'll kill you.
Did you hear what he said? He wants Zia in exchange.
We're not going to give her up, are we?
The thing is, if we don't give him Zia, he will kill us. Oh.
I will tell the village people to run away.
Forget that idea. There is no way it can work.
But if they all ran in different directions...
Half of you might manage to escape, but the others would be killed. And besides that, look.
What? It's Cocopedal! Cocopedal!
If Cocopedal is here, it means Tao isn't far away. He must be under the boat swimming towards the ship.
I'll never let those monsters steal my own people's ship. I can't let them.
We can't let Tao down.
Alright, man. You know, I just realized that we got basically a lot of this part last time, you know, so it's good to kind of get a little recap on it after watching the Pizarro drop. And let's just get a piece of, you know, what we're looking forward to. You know what I'm saying? Go get that last drop if you want to see the rest of it, man. Let's get, you know what I mean? Let's get into episode 10, man. Let's do a quick belly flop. And, yeah, man, it's a great resource, man. You see that the perspective is real. The hijack is real. Pizarro is real. You know what I mean? And what you put out comes back. The energy you put out comes back. That chaos you put out came right back to him. We'll go right into it.
I want to come along too.
That's the end of a great ship. The magnificent creation of the Heba people is sinking.
So remember, the ship got destroyed, right?
Oh, my wonderful ship.
Now, Zia, you had better tell us what you read in that Inca knot chain, the quipu that Pizarro has.
Oh.
On your own, you can't achieve anything. It doesn't make sense to keep the secret to yourself. I don't understand you. It's as if you didn't trust me.
Mendoza may be right, Zia. You should tell him whatever you know.
Oh, Esteban.
No, I can't do that.
Traitor ass Esteban.
Esteban, I'm sorry. Now I must find the way back to my village. I'm not angry with you. If you don't want to tell him, then don't. But let me come with you. I want us to stay together all the way to your home.
Me too. I want to come along too. But are you sure you know how to find the way?
It's somewhere in that direction, on the other side of those mountains over there.
Very well, as you wish, Zia. We'll all go together.
But that is the way to the south. That is where Pizarro is.
And wherever Pizarro is, his army is too. He's never without them around.
Why don't we go and ask Apo, the old wise man of the Incas? He might have an idea.
Yeah.
Just between us, Mendoza, is there any good reason for us to go to Zia's village?
Zia may only be a child, but I'm quite sure now we can never force her to talk. And so I think the best thing to do is to go along with her. With all of us. Someday she will tell us what we want to know.
Kept you waiting some time, Senor Gomez. I hope at least that you have not forgotten the reason why I sent for you to come from Spain.
As it happens,
Well, wasn't it to bring me a young Inca girl who knew how to read, how to decipher quipus, these knotted strings the Incas make? Wasn't that it? Well, where is this, Zia?
Your Excellency, I don't know how to tell you this.
You blithering idiot! I'm surrounded by good-for-nothings, cowards, idiots. You had better find that girl for me fast, whatever it costs you.
Governor Pizarro, I deeply regret to inform you that, alas, poor little Zia is dead. She was blown up with her ship.
I've been told that the strange ship was destroyed. And our galleon, too, and what became of Esteban? You might at least have taken him prisoner. Go at once and find them for me.
Yes, Excellency.
Oh, no, my friend, you must not go that way to the south. That way is not possible.
Why?
Look, at a certain place, the path to the south narrows. On one side is a sea, on the other a steep cliff. It is there, on that ledge, that Pizarro has built his fortress.
Apo, we have no choice. We must go south. Isn't there some other route we could take?
None that I know, but Pasha. It is possible he knows.
Pasha? Who is Pasha?
Oh, he is a man of very great wisdom. Pizarro took him away as a prisoner, and we do not know what happened to him. We don't even know if he's still alive.
Tao, do you remember the opening in the Spanish fortress? The one where the water flows out?
Yes, I remember that place well. It was like a giant puzzle.
There might be all sorts of other passages inside. Perhaps when we went back there, we might be able to find our way through the other side of the fort.
Go on, let them in. Get to work, all of you! Put your backs into it! Come on, move along there, weakling!
They must be using the prisoners to rebuild the gunpowder stores that I blew up. When they're not looking, we'll slip in among them.
And what have we here then?
Hello, excuse me. Hello. What?
Oh my.
Goodbye.
I call that a well-trained parrot. What's going on?
Zia, how did you get here? We thought you were dead.
They'd seen us. Quick, follow me.
Stop! Drop those logs! Let me through! Commander Gomez!
Now what are you bellowing about, Gaspar?
Zia, she's alive! The whole island are here!
Alive? Zia is alive. By heaven.
Ha!
Over there! Hurry!
Gaspar!
Excellency?
Go and tell Governor Pizarro as fast as you can. The rest of you guard all the exits.
What's that? You say the girl Zia is still alive and she's here?
Yes, and this time we really have them. They're hiding inside the fort sewer system. They can't escape. Trapped like rats, Excellency. I beg your pardon. Be assured, Excellency, I will catch them. They'll be with you in no time at all.
Just a moment, Gaspar.
Yes?
First, send me Gomez.
But I...
Just send me Gomez.
At once, Excellency.
That stranger doesn't look much like a sewer. Now where, Esteban?
Ah, that way! I could feel a draft!
And Gaspar told me they had escaped into the sewers. It reminded me. Somewhere beneath this fort, there's an ancient Inca temple.
An Inca temple?
Yes, in that temple lives a priest. He must be more than 100 years old now. When he was young, he knew the cities of gold.
Don't you keep him locked up?
Oh, yes. As he won't tell me what he knows about the cities of gold, I keep him trapped in a cell underneath his own temple like a rat.
When did you do all this to the old man, Your Excellency?
Oh, it was a long, long time ago. I had quite forgotten about this stupid old man. Light the way.
Yes, Excellency.
These stairs lead to the sewers. The runaways have to go towards the temple. We will trap them. Well, how is our old friend Pasha?
He is still alive, Your Excellency. He eats his food.
Still alive, is he? Splendid, splendid. Open up.
Yes, Your Excellency.
Thank you. Now you may go up to the top and you can leave the door open.
Oh. Isn't it dangerous to leave the door open?
You still don't understand my plan. I shall lure them into our trap.
We should push it.
Here, let me try. Let's have a look.
I don't much care for this. Let's get away from here. I hate being closed in like this. I can't breathe.
Me too.
You're such a coward. The cities of gold could be within our grasp, and you want to turn back?
Oh, the cities of gold. Let's go.
Oh! There's a temple right here. Fantastic.
Is this what you meant by the cities of gold? You said they were within our grasp.
That was just an expression, Sancho.
That was just a lie.
Sancho, my old friend, if you want my opinion, he's been leading us down the garden path
I thought we were going to the cities of gold.
By now, what do we got to lose?
What a good sleep I had. Well, human beings, it's been quite a while since I've seen one of them.
Would you happen to be the man called Pasha?
Of course, who else would I be? The question is, who are you?
He's Esteban. Pushing. We crossed the big ocean to come here. All because of these medallions.
By the Greek god, you wear the symbol of the sun.
We have to travel to the south. Could you help us, please?
South? Then it must really be you that I've been waiting for. The riddle of the cities of gold will be solved. Follow me. I will show you.
Did you hurt yourself?
No. My old legs aren't what they once were, that's all. Who are those others with you? I don't much like these men. Say, you there, how would you like to help an old man?
Maybe.
Yes. Me? What's the matter? Never seen a 100-year-old man before? I used to be a priest in the temple of the cities of gold. Where were you really? I really was. Like to know the way? Look, since I'm carrying you anyway, why not just whisper how to get there right in my ear? Forward march, that way! Open that door, keep going straight, and you'll be heading south. To the right is the way to the fort.
You say to the right leads to the fort?
We've been waiting for you. This time it's no use trying. You can't escape. Now,
Hey.
you come here and all alone.
Jam up Jones.
We're cut off ahead. Now where to? Over here.
After them! I want that girl brought back!
Long thing to hide. Which way? That way.
Oh man. All right, we're gonna pause it right here, and I see where we're at the 15-minute mark. We'll pick it right back. Yeah, man. You know, just quick little wave surf. Love to Drop Nation, man. So there's another city that was dropped on us, the Kofitakakia. However you pronounce that, Kofitakakia. Now this is connected to South Carolina. Another city of gold. This document here I drop on you is the ethno-historical archaeological evidence. Ooh, I can't wait to have our library, man, so we can collect all this there. The Kofitakakia Ethnohistory. All right, by Chester de Prater. All right, yeah, just right quick. This connects to this queen and this lady of Kofitakakia, native woman in history. The Kofitakakia was a province of Muskogee, speaking Indian people located in what is now South Carolina, an area bordered by the Santee, Watari, and Petey River. Spanish slavers searching the southeastern Atlantic coast for Indian slaves learned of it from the people they encountered and captured. An Indian man enslaved by the Spaniards told them of an area ruled by a powerful chief. His description contained many elements of Mississippian culture, including earthen mounds. 1539, Hernando de Soto army landed at Gulf of Florida and began an assault on the southeastern Indians looking for riches to plunder. Same story, right? Seems like it's wherever it's going, it's the same thing. Let's go back. Let's go down. In the spring of 1540, De Soto plundered his way from Florida through the area now called Georgia and on Cofeticaki. And on May 1st, the army arrived at one of the major towns of Cofeticaki, located on the Wateree River, now known as the Mulberry site. They met a delegation of the ruling class, and with Perico acted as an interpreter, De Soto told him that he came in peace and wanted to meet the chief. All the stories are the same. They met the chief, and then they capture the chief, and they get all this gold. A short time later, a woman the army's chroniclers called the Lady of Cofeticaki arrived, carried on a little litter covered with a white cloth. They described her as extremely beautiful. Perico told De Soto this woman was the niece of the female paramount chief of Cofeticaki, and she had come to the town to deal with some of the principal men who were refusing to pay tribute. Perico may have been trying to protect the lady by telling the Spaniards she wasn't the chief, but several De Soto's chroniclers considered her to be the paramount chief. She welcomed De Soto and presented him with gifts of animal skin. So they met this queen, this lady, who they're calling this chief. Now this is around the month of Mississippi, South Carolina. This is all in the 1500s, the same thing. Now she set aside half the town for use of the army and gave them food, including turkey and venison. De Soto then asked about the precious metals and gemstones he had been told could be found at Cofeticaki. The lady commanded the people of the town to bring all they had. So boom, now they capture her and she's bringing all this gold. So this is another city of gold. Another city of gold. We have this city of gold, the Acacor situation, the Hawiku, the Cibola situation. All right. When they had been taking everything of value they could find, they had the Lady of Kakaku lead them to her town, Talameca, and 4 miles away, again, they looted the mortuary places of everything they wanted. The army needed food to take on their march, yada, yada, yada. I remember, leave this link, man, so you can dig on this Cofeticaki. We're going to get more into it, especially into the ethno-history and archaeological evidences. Alright, and this is just part 8, man. We're just getting started. I'm going to leave this link as well. We got a lot of links, man, coming in, and a lot we're digging on with these 7 cities of gold. Cibola, the ancient origins. Cibola, 7 cities of gold. Alright, it's going to break down the, local legends spoke of Cibola, the 7 cities, saying, alright, so, these are just different perspectives, different wrap-ups on these cities, and we're just talking Cibola, we were just talking Cibola, we were just talking the land of Ophir, we're just talking Moses' promised land, the mythical cities, Cibola, Shambhala, Shimbala, or Sheba. And who is this lady?